Hello everyone, welcome to Edukemy. This is a video in the geography optional and we would be dealing with a question of settlement geography. So let's start with the question of the day. The question is about the master plan for Delhi 2041. So we know that Delhi government has come up with the master plan for Delhi that will be applicable till 2041. So this master plan of Delhi 2041, the question has asked that the potential to address the urban challenges in Delhi. The question says that the master plan for Delhi 2041 has a potential to address the urban challenges in Delhi. Critically analyze, and this is for your 15 mark question, right? So why was this in the news? This was in the news because the DDA, the Delhi Development Authority, has approved the master plan 2041. That is post 2021, this would be the plan that would be applicable. And what does the plan aims at? The plan aims to ensure the proper use of land. You have to protect the environment. You have to preserve the people's culture. Okay, so not only your land, environment, the cultural dimension, and also the social, physical, and the economic dimensions. So it's an entire plan for Delhi which the government aims at in entirety, that is economic, social, environmental, and the cultural dimension. Let's again look at the question. The question was that the master plan of Delhi 2041 has the potential to address the urban challenges in Delhi. Critically analyze. So it has the potential to address the urban challenges in Delhi. If you look at the question is about the master plan for Delhi, and the approach is, can MPD, that is the master plan for Delhi, address the urban challenges of Delhi? And we'll have to critically analyze. That is, you have to give a yes and a no, and you'll have, because the question says critically analyze. Now with this, let's look at the structure of the answer. How do you structure your answer? What do you write in the introduction? What kind of diagram you can draw? The body dimension, etc. So how do you structure this answer? So first is that let's underline the keywords. The keyword is the master plan for Delhi 2041, and it has potential to address the urban challenge, and you'll have to critically analyze. So in the introduction, you can start off with the urban challenges in Delhi. See, what is the question asking? The question is saying that there is a plan that will address the problems in Delhi. So you start off in the introduction that these are the problems in Delhi. These are the provisions of the MPD. This is how MPD will help, and however, MPD is not a panacea. So the introduction can directly be that you can start off with the urban challenges in Delhi. The urban challenges in Delhi. We know that in geography answers, after the introduction, there should be a schematic. There should be a schematic after the introduction. In this, you can mention about the features of MPD. Has this been asked? Has the features been asked? No. If you show it in the diagram, will you get an extra marks? Yes. So the features of MPD in a schematic can be shown after the introduction as a part of the diagram. Try to link it to the syllabus. This is a question from the question is there from the settlement geography. So try to use the terms that can be used from the settlement geography in this answer. We will see that what terms can be used. So for now, you started off with the challenges of Delhi in the introduction, followed by a schematic, and then you said this is the main demand, that how can MPD 2041 address the challenges. Okay, so there are certain challenges that can be addressed by MPD. Then, because the question is about critically analyze, you'll have to say that MPD cannot be a panacea. Okay, when MPD cannot be a panacea, conclusion can be what more is needed. If you look at the entire structure, you can see a storyline. The storyline is, there are challenges in Delhi. This is what MPD is. MPD can help in solving the challenges. However, MPD is not a panacea and we need something more. So there is a flow in the answer. right? And how do you get extra marks? You get an extra marks when you add a schematic just after the introduction and when you use the key terms from the settlement geography in this question. So always try to use the key terms, always try to link the key terms in the answers. Now, looking at the answer here, in the introduction, we can mention about the challenges of Delhi, the urban challenges in Delhi. So you can say that what is the issue? The combination of huge population. We know there is huge population, there is poor planning, there are governance deficits, and all these results into the numerous problems. What are the problems? The problems such as congestion, urban sprawl. So this is what you have read in your geography syllabus, right? Congestion, urban sprawl, water scarcity, urban pollution, poor sewage disposal, poor quality of life. This is directly from your syllabus. These terms are directly from your syllabus. That urban sprawl, poor quality of life, and the other we know that pollution hai, you have the problems of sewage disposal, etc. So we started off with the urban challenges of Delhi. Then after that you can mention about this in a schematic what are the provisions of the master plan for Delhi. The provision that are for the master plan of Delhi, what is the vision? What is the vision? Vision is you will have to make environmental sustainability. We'll have to make livability, right? So not only about environment sustainability, but you also have to make the place livable. Okay, quality of life has to be ensured. Then it should also take into account the economic and the cultural viability. So economic viability, cultural viability, livability, and the environmental sustainability. These are the vision. This is the vision. And what are the goals? The goal that we'll have to target, we'll have to mention about the environmental protection. We'll have to mention about the environmental protection, because environment sustainability can only come through environmental protection. Then we'll have to go for local economic development, right? For economic development, you'll have to go for the local economic development. You'll have to go for heritage and the cultural preservation, improved quality of life, low carbon mobility, and disaster resilient infrastructure. These are the few terms that you can use across the settlement answers. Okay, settlement planning, how do you plan a city? So you have to take into account the environmental sustainability, you have to take into account the economic viability, you have to ensure quality of life. When we ensure quality of life, you have to go for low carbon mobility, that is the disaster resilient infrastructure, blue green continuum. We have read about the models, we have read about in the China, you have your sponge city, we have the other transport oriented development that you already have studied in your class. So you'll have to use them. You have to use the concept like walkability and the other concepts of the syllabus. So what is the vision? The vision is livability, economic viability, environment sustainability, and all you will have to ensure by. So this is also, see, there is walkable and cycling areas, there is water and disaster management. For improved quality of life, non-ownership housing for the migrants. You have your green economy, the blue-green continuum. If you make a list of these 10 to 15 words, you will be able to address these words in all your settlement questions. So we started off, what are the challenges in Delhi? Then we started off, then in a schematic, we showed that what are the provisions of the master plan for Delhi. After this, we'll have to come to the main point. The main point is how can master plan of Delhi can solve the urban challenges. Here, this requires the use of the geography. This requires the use of the geography. So here, you can start off, okay. The master plan of the urban master plan, can solve few urban challenges. So how is the master plan of Delhi trying to solve few challenges? So you now use your geographical terms in your headings. City as an area. We have read in settlement, there are two concepts in settlement. City as an area and city in an area. When you say the settlement geography. In settlement geography, you refer to the city in area. What is a city in area? For example, this is an area, this is a bigger city, this is a smaller city, this is a smallest city, this is another smallest city. So what are we seeing? We are seeing this city in an area. There is an area in which we see city. For example, the creation of the satellite town. We create a satellite town in an area. When we say the rank size rule, which city is big, which city is small, depends on city in area. So settlement geography has two dimensions. One is city in area. The other is city as area. So when you plan for the city, so these master development plans, the master plan for Delhi. So this is when you are considering the city as an area and then you plan for the city. So here the master plan of Delhi so try to use the subheadings from your optional knowledge. It considers city as an area. So it is focusing on what? It is focusing on the area-based improvement. You have to improve the area and you have to revitalize the agricultural hubs, the socio-cultural hubs, the commercial hubs. You'll have to revitalize these and you have to encourage greater public participation. So you are planning for city as an area. Then it acknowledges the concept of growth pole. This is from your geography optional syllabus. Growth pole. What is a growth pole? Growth pole is basically the place from where the growth can spurt and emerge and then be disseminated. So here the localized economic development, which become the potential growth pole. So the localized economic centers, they can become the potential growth pole. That is, and on this basis, you can identify strategic hubs, corridors, establish clean and green economy, and you can support unorganized sector. Okay, so what are we saying? That there are few features in the master plan of Delhi which can help Delhi overcome the challenges. Like when we say that city as an area, when we plan for Delhi as an area, we help Delhi to overcome issues like urban congestions. When you go for growth pole, the model, you decentralize the growth. Therefore, you reduce the regional inequalities. So here, what are we saying? There are master plan of Delhi. There are features on the master plan of Delhi, and it will help Delhi to overcome the challenges. So what did we say? The first feature of the master plan for Delhi was city as area. The city as area, what will city as an area do? City as an area will help Delhi to overcome the challenges like the congestion, urban pollution, traffic issues, sewage disposal. Okay, it will help Delhi address this unsafe drinking water. Okay, this will help Delhi on this basis. The MPD focuses on the growth pole. So what will this help? It will help bring various growth poles when planned, they can disseminate. So the local economic centers can be promoted. How will this help in? This will help in reducing the regional inequality in Delhi. You can reduce the regional equality in Delhi. So this is about the growth pole. If you look into account the third factor is about promotion of the social capital. One of the most important thing that the model acknowledges is about the social capital. There's promotion of the social capital. Look how are we using geographical terms, and then how are we fitting that according to the demand of the question. The social capital. So the social capital would be promoted. How will it be promoted? There will be community centers. The social capital, when is promoted by the master plan of Delhi, would help build the resilient society. Will help in building the resilient society. It will help in social well-being. And here you can mention about the case study of Shanghai model. This has been taught to you in your regular geography optional classes. So try to use the Shanghai model. So here, what did we say? The master plan of Delhi is promoting city as area, is promoting growth pole concept, is leading to social capital, and then you can say decongestion. It focuses on the decongestion. It is focusing on the decongestion. How? Because it is trying to develop smart villages, satellite towns, charter city, counter magnet cities, okay, like the Gurgaon. So this, see, how are they promoting decongestion? You are not simply writing decongestion by metros. You are simply not writing about better traffic planning. That would make your answer more appearing like a GS answer. However, you are trying to use your geographical knowledge. You say it aims to decongest by developing counter magnets, by developing satellite towns, by developing smart village. Satellite town is there in the syllabus as a term. For example, and you also substantiate by an example, Gurgaon for Delhi. The master plan of Delhi focuses on the low carbon mobility. We saw environment sustainability, that is your low carbon mobility. It promotes what? It promotes walkability, it promotes cycling areas, it promotes mobility corridors. Okay, so there are mobility corridors for freight movement, bypasses, okay, shifting from public to private to public transport, the metros, the low carbon vehicles, the electric vehicles. So it is also focusing upon the low carbon mobility by developing what? Walkability, transit oriented development. Then there is focus on the public transport, more focus on the mobility dimension. And then we already know it is also taking into account the environmentalism approach, the environmental approach for environment sustainability. How? By again the mixed use of the transit oriented development, greener fuels, water quality improvement. Another thing that you can look here is it is now promoting the energy efficient cities. So it is becoming the one of the energy efficiency. It is the energy efficiency that will be promoted. So if we look again at the answer, we are trying to use the parameters of MPD on one side, and we are trying to see that how will it solve the problem. So first we saw as city as area, then we saw growth pole, then we saw social capital. We also refer to the environmentalism, like the environmentalism, like you can say the transit oriented development, green city, clean city, okay, decongestion, green city, clean city, you have green fuels, electric vehicles. This is about the environmentalism. It is also promoting decongestion by satellite town, by counter magnet cities. Example, Gurgaon. Here, when we say environmentalism, you can also add into the dimension of the water usage, efficient water usage by the sponge city model of sponge city, like the sponge city model in China. So this is what has been planned in MPD, and they will help the Delhi, and then you can also substantiate by the example from the world. See, this had happened in China, this has happened in Germany, this has happened in India, and then we can scale this up. However, when we say this, just by master plan, you cannot improve the situation. Why? Because you need something more. You need the proper implementation of the plans. We can announce a plan, but might not actually be able to efficiently implement. So it cannot be taken into account if there is governance deficit. So master plan will become a failure if there is governance deficit, because we need good governance to plan for what? To plan for migration, to implement the MPD, to ensure the environmentalism approach is respected, have a long-term vision. You need a long-term vision. Okay, what will happen in next 20 years? What will happen in next 40 years? So the governance deficit cannot be solved by MPD. For governance deficit to be solved, you need to make your governance very sharp. That is one thing. Then we also need behavioral change among the masses. The behavioral change. Unless we bring the behavioral change, see, you can link it to the behavioral geography. Unless you bring the behavioral change, no matter what plan that you have, it will not be executed in a nice manner. So behavioral change, so that people go for usage of the public transport. They internalize saving of the water. They internalize that the pollution can be reduced. For the pollution to be reduced, you need behavioral change, and there should be an element of the climate change readiness. Cities, they are suffering, they have become the worst victim of the climate change. The heat wave, cold wave, and the other dust, pollution, everything else, dust storms, everything else. So you'll have to make your city climate readiness should be more. For the city, the climate readiness should be more, and that should be taken into your master plan for Delhi. So master plan for Delhi is not a panacea, because there are other governance deficit, there are other behavioral issues, and what about the climate change readiness? That also need to be taken into account. And how do you conclude such answers? The generic conclusion for this settlement and cities is about your SDG, the SDG 11, which calls for livable cities and livable communities. However, you can also say that, so we need sustainable cities, we need better cities, we need clean, healthy and green cities. You can conclude. So we need some more steps that need to be taken into account. Okay. And otherwise, you can also conclude with the trends and the data. So not only Delhi, but the similar strategy can be applied for the other big metropolitan cities. So you can say that, as we know that India's population is about to increase, it is about to go to 814 million by 2050. Urban population, India's urban population will go to 814 million by 2050, and it is projected to add new mega cities. Therefore, the urban planning of MPD should be replicated in other mega cities like Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore and Hyderabad, so as to realize the vision of sustainable development of cities and the vision of SDG 11. Right? So this is from my side, but then you also need to understand, in the settlement geography, there are few key terms that you need to apply across your answers, like the land zonation. We have land zonation. You can use this as in any master plans, you have land zonation. We have conurbation highways, that we have already seen, the conurbation hubs. the morphology of the city, the way in which the city is arranged. Okay, the city region, we have already seen city as an area, satellite town, growth centers, core periphery development, new urbanism principles like the transit-oriented development, walkability, etc. So these are the keywords that you can try to use across your settlement geography answers. I hope you like this video. Stay tuned. Thank you.